like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And in your moment of silence, we are all certainly aware of the great loss to the community, but with Roger Bergia's passing. If you would remember Roger and his family, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Gett?
Present.
Trustee Kazam?
Present.
Trustee Marfel? Trustee Wigginton?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Present.
And Mayor, I assume that, as we did with the last meeting, that you are going to continue to find that it's not going to require in-person attendance given the situation with COVID?
That is my opinion, Council, so thank you for asking, and yes, so, all right. Welcome everyone here, welcome everyone watching at home. A couple of things for announcements. There will be an Easter egg hunt April 9th, this coming weekend, from 10 to 12. Guest appearance from the Easter Bunny, the Peoria Heights Fire Department, Sparky the dog. That's at 10 a.m. The Easter egg hunt will begin at 10:30, and games and activities will follow. This event is free of charge, but a bake sale with items will be available for purchase. Also, another announcement about a farmer's market, but I'm actually going to ask Julie Bielfeld if you would come up, and you've done all the work on this, so I feel you should make the announcement.
So, hello. I'm Julie Bielfeld. I'm one half of the force of bringing back a farmer's market. Peoria Heights used to have one. I don't know, it's been years since we've had it. It was originally at the Heritage Square, but Sam Hutchison and I are bringing it back, and we have been fortunate to secure the best site, in my opinion, which is the Pabst parking lot. It's huge, and it's a perfect, absolutely perfect spot for a farmer's market. So Sam Hutchison, if you're not familiar with Sam, she was the small business last year on the cover of Peoria magazine. She was the one who organized the farmer's market last year at Keller Station. And between the two of us, we've really, honestly, it's been a pleasure. This started and everything's just grown from that point. So we are looking to do our farmer's market on Thursdays from 3 to 6. Our season will be May 26th through September 29th, so that's 19 Thursdays. And right now, we're just doing kind of calling out. We're choosing farmers, specialty growers, and makers. The other features of the market that I'm particularly pleased with is we would like to connect back to our community. So in the sense that we've reached out and we're making efforts we have 2 food banks in Peoria Heights, and that's St. Thomas. Diana Janda runs that, and the Congregational Church has one. So at the end of every farmer's market, we will have a site for donations to the food banks. And that, for us, they could use it in any way. They could use it for a can drive, or they could use it for that time. So that's important. The other thing in connecting back to our community is we're going to establish within the booths of our farmers, like right now we're not sure how many we have listed. We have 35 and growing. But in that sense, we're going to establish 3 free spaces that would be for not-for-profits. So Epic is a great example. They have a garden out north. So is Community, the Blue Ridge Farms that Laura and Jim Sniff do out in Chillicothe. Fantastic. They are amazing. And then the third, we might just rotate. And it's very simple. If there's a not-for-profit that wants to get their face out there and let people know what they do, then we'd love to have them. So I've talked to Freedom Paws. I think other candidates would be great, like Lions Club and the Key Club at the high school, just on and on. So that's important for us because that's the backbone of our community, are these not-for-profits. And not to forget the fact that it is a farmer's market, we also are connecting back with our businesses. One of the things I want to be careful with and honor is that we have fantastic businesses in the village, and we might have some duplicates, like we might have a candle maker in the booth, but I want to reach out to the businesses and to be able to say, here's what's going on, here's what's coming, and to promote the businesses we have and have that relationship. So, I don't know, this is going to be wonderful, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. I guess I'm open for questions if you have any.
Questions?
Do you have your vendors yet, or do you know how many vendors there will be? I know it's early still, but.
So it's very early. So yes, we're getting applications back, and someone asked me this morning how many we have, and it was really tough to say because we have spoken with quite a few that haven't returned applications. I would guess in the start, you're going to see a very natural growth. A farmer's market in May will have early produce and maybe more makers. And then in the high peak season, we'll have more of the farmers in the produce, like the June, July, August.
Julie, as far as vendors, on that same note, and I don't want to reveal too much about my mindset, but Clink or other food or beverage vendors, are they also going to be in attendance?
Thank you. I feel like you queued that up for me. So one of the things in choosing a Thursday that was exciting to think about was a little bit of the vibe that goes on, that Thirsty Thursday, and that entertainment quality, and we're not quite at the weekend yet. So we are going to have a couple food trucks, and I did reach out to Clink. Now, 3 to 6 is not quite his hours. But he's more than welcome. Sam, you're more than welcome to come. We've already spoken. But one of the areas, and we haven't, I think, officially asked the village for anything, but a very natural area is there's a very stubby little stretch of Cyberlane, and possibly to close the street off at that point. So heads up, it's coming. But that area is really pivotal because it's a fantastic front door to the market. It's also a really good opportunity to have kind of the tables, the entertainment quality. So one of the vendors we do have is the pedal party bus. And we're going to set them up so that they can go on the half hour and go out and do the tours. Then I've already reached out with, like, Olio and Vino. Stephanie has fantastic, she has wines and cocktails and charcuterie trays. And we have a fantastic winery, so Michael Vandy's excited. And I'll put those close together so they could purchase and then go on the pedal party. So these relationships start becoming a very symbiotic, it just takes growth. But it works.
Thank you so much. That's really, really great news. Did I hear you say you needed was it Cyberlane closed off?
Yeah. We'd like to work with the village on that.
Council, is that something we do administratively, or the board will need to?
I can do that administratively.
Okay. It's for public safety reasons then, right?
Correct.
Okay. Just Cyberlane going into?
West side, right there.
Okay.
Correct. So when you turn off Prospect Road, Cyberlane, there's not much. It's very, very short, and then you're at the parking lot.
Okay.
So it's that short west stretch.
Yeah,
So do we need so we're going to need some assistance from Public Works and PD then?
yeah, it will be minimal. I was aware of this. I know you've talked to Sarah a few different times. She made me aware of it, and so I have that on my radar as well. And I don't see that being a problem at all, Julie.
That's
Yeah.
great. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One other announcement. Occasionally, as mayor, you get calls that you don't want to get. Last week, I received a call from Trustee Marfell telling me that he was not going to be able to continue in his role as trustee here, and we have before us tonight a letter of resignation. Madam Clerk, do you have that letter?
Yes, I do.
Would you read it into the record, please?
Of course. Mayor Phelan and Administrator Sutton, due to personal reasons, I will be resigning my position on the Village Board of Trustees effective April 22nd, 2022. It has been my pleasure to serve the last year on the board alongside the other board trustees. I wish the board and the village best of luck in all future endeavors. Thank you, David Marfell.
So, Council, I would like to act on this tonight. Could you give us a little bit of an overview of what happens here?
Sure. When a trustee resigns, the mayor will fill that vacancy, depending on where the vacancy falls on the election calendar. Will determine if somebody runs at the next election. In this case, we're way in advance of what will be the 2023 municipal election. So whoever is appointed to fill the vacancy, that position will be back on the ballot next April 2023 to fill out the balance of the term. So whoever runs in April 23 will serve until May 1st of 25. They're filling out Marfell's term and then would have to run again.
So I will have a name before you at the next meeting. We don't meet next Tuesday, but in 2 weeks at that meeting, I think it's important we get this filled, this vacancy filled, so.
And that would just be a typical advice and consent, so you would make the recommendation and the building board would approve.
Questions or comment? All right, Madam Clerk, Council, voice vote, or should we do a roll call on this?
A voice vote is fine.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to receive and accept Trustee Marfell's letter of resignation.
I move to receive and file the letter of resignation.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the letter of resignation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. All right, Madam Clerk, any correspondence?
Yes, Mayor, I have a letter here from the Chamber of Commerce. It reads, "To the Village of Peoria Heights, Mayor, Chief, and Trustees, thank you for allotting the Peoria Heights Chamber $11,600 for our upcoming events. Your help will allow us to bring more events to our beloved community. Thank you." Signed, Barb Malaccio, Chris Reese, Jerry Parkhurst, Jill Wakefield, Scott Fisher, and Peggy Maloof.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, we would move right along to the next item, which is approval of the departmental meeting minutes from March 1st, 2022. I'd ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Are there any questions on the minutes or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We'll be at comments from the audience. If anyone would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Anyone here tonight to address the board? Going once, twice? Comments from the audience are closed. Any old business come before the board? Hearing none, we'll get right into new business. The first items are administration and finance. First is approval of the use of Tower Park on the second Fridays of April through October 2022 for the Drum Circle event. Trustee DeVore, I'd entertain a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve the use of Tower Park for the Drum Circle.
Have a second?
Second.
All right. Anyone? Welcome. Please.
I'm here for questions or explanations.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing this. I remember we met you last year,
Yeah.
so please tell us your name again.
I'm Natasha Green. I'm a music teacher. Sorry. Music teacher. Actually taught across the road here, and was kind of what ended up piquing my interest in this area for a community drum circle, which I think of it as something like if you were to learn to sing in school and you wanted to join a community choir, you would have that option. And I was teaching world drumming in school and thought, where will the children go beyond this? So let's make a drum circle. So of course it's for all ages, and children grandparents and everyone alike enjoys it. And it did end up growing to the point where it could support some artists and musicians when they were out of work during COVID. So that is how that portion of it began to grow, and everybody loved it, so I would like to continue that.
Well, thank you for bringing this back, and I heard nothing but really positive
Oh,
things
great.
about the way you run your event, and we appreciate that. Anyone else? Any comments? Discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore,
Aye.
Trustee Gett,
Aye.
Trustee Kazam,
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton,
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, next is approval of the annual full-time administrative employee raises. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the annual raises.
Second, please.
Second.
All right. Back to you, Trustee DeVore. Please set this up.
Yes, so we look at this every year. So this is the 3% increase for our administrative staff that we look at every year. So just a reminder to everyone that all of our union employees just get the cost of living increase each year. And so the few employees that we have that are part of our administrative team, we like to offer that same cost of living increase to them as well.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Trustee DeVore? Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk.
Trustee DeVore,
Aye.
Trustee Gett,
Aye.
Trustee Kazam,
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton,
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Trustee DeVore, anything else for administration or finance you want to mention tonight?
I just thank Administrator Sutton and Stephanie and all the hard work that's been done on the budget this year. But other than that, no, that is all there.
Thank you. Okay, we would be at Public Works. The first is approval of well number 7 motor rebuild by Foremost Industrial in the amount of $5,885.33. So Trustee Marfell is absent. I'd ask someone else to make this motion, please.
I make the motion.
And a second by Trustee Weisenberg?
Second.
Okay. Chris, can you set this up for us then, please?
Yeah, so well 7, if you guys remember who were here, we had flushed out last year. As soon as we got it flushed and going, the motor was shot. So we've been waiting, and we estimated buying a new motor for it would have been around $19,000. We went for the rebuild of the motor, which is the $5,800 roughly, and that will add an additional well to our water supply that we've been lacking for about 3 years now.
Is this the one below the hill that we recently had that was pumping dirty water?
No, this is a different one.
Okay.
That's well 12.
Okay.
This is well 7, which was out of service for
Okay.
a couple of years, and then we tried to get it going, but the motor was bad.
Is this one below the hill as well?
Yeah, all our wells are below the hill, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's behind the apartment complex, behind Firehouse 2
Okay.
on that.
Is there any, guarantee? I mean, after the motor's been rebuilt? is there
Yeah,
kind of-
I believe it comes with a 1-year warranty.
Okay.
And then also just heads up, there's some installation costs and stuff too, but that's for the motor rebuild.
Chris, this additional well will be an additional well that we're able to mix water with.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so I think that's very important right now. Now, the only other question I have for you is this Foremost Industrial Technology. See, they're right here in Peoria. We have some experience with these folks.
Yeah, they handle all our, what we call soft starts, which slowly add water to the system and slowly take it out so it doesn't cause water hammer.
Okay.
They take care of all those that run our motors, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good questions. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore,
Aye.
Trustee Gett,
Aye.
Trustee Kazam,
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton,
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. While we're on Public Works, do you or Mr. Aldridge have any update on the Woodard and Curran with the consultant?
Wayne, do you have any updates on the consultant, where they're at in their process?
They're actually coming to visit with us on Friday and doing a tour of all our facilities. So that'll be, we did have a kickoff a couple weeks ago with them in Springfield. So they're getting started on the project temporarily.
Thank you.
Would we be able to attend that walkthrough if we so choose?
As long as we don't violate the Open Meetings Act, Council?
Two of them can't anymore.
Okay.
I believe it starts at 10 o'clock on Friday.
This Friday?
Yep.
Okay.
This Friday. You're more than welcome to come.
Are you planning on attending, Trustee?
I'm going to try.
I may too, unless someone else wants to go, then I'll step out, but
Just take good notes.
I would like
guys.
to, but I'm unable to, so yes, I'd like to hear what you have to say after the meeting.
Okay.
anything else under Public Works?
I do have a couple other things. Just so everyone knows, our fountain has an issue right now, has a major leak that we need to find and fix. That's why it is not running right now. We're going to do our best to get that up and running again. And then next week is our biannual hydrant flushing, which if you want to check the website, all the times and days for the areas that will be taking place will be on there. And that begins Monday. And obviously, we appreciate anyone's patience with that situation. It
Okay.
is biannual, so happens all the time.
And then the public will be receiving a letter soon then too?
Yes, and the public will be receiving a letter about a recent manganese event again. That will be going out possibly the beginning of next week. That letter's been finalized and now we're getting it sent off, so they should be receiving it soon.
All right, any questions for Mr. Chandler on any of that? Okay, we'll move right on to Public Safety. We have one item there. Approval of Ordinance 2022-1672, an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 5, Section 2 of the Village Code regarding tow and storage fees for towed vehicles within the village. Trustee Wigginton, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I move to approve ordinance 2022-1672.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, back to you, Trustee Wigginton.
Thank you, Mayor. So Chief and I discussed this earlier, I think last week, and so Chief, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'll give this the shot. So what this ordinance is doing is basically bringing our code up to date. Right now, this code has not really been addressed, the numbers that you see in about 20 years. What it does in essence, it allows towing companies to charge the fees that you see there in order to perform their service. So effectively what happens is when an officer here in the Heights requests a tow, this towing company also knows that the Heights has one of the lowest fees that they can charge in the Tri-County area. So naturally, they're not going to take that call immediately. They're going to go to another of our neighboring communities to answer those calls while our officer waits and waits. And this is why it becomes a public safety issue, because that officer's waiting and waiting while they could be, performing public safety. So, one of the concerns that I had on this was, people having their cars parked for a snow emergency, they get towed and they have to pay more. But that's not what this is. So if we look at the Village Code 75-1-1, and that's offenses that lead to a vehicle seizure or impoundment. This is narcotic-based. This is driving under the influence, leaving the scene of an accident, reckless driving, failure to report, no driver's licenses, invalid driver's license, or carrying a dangerous weapon under the Illinois Criminal Code of 1961, Article 24. So this does not apply to any of the snow emergency issues where typically our residents would be involved. This is, frankly, things that would be passing through that we don't want here in the Heights. That's what this really addresses. It brings our code up to snuff with our neighboring communities. I don't think this is really too controversial.
Any questions?
So these are just fees that an outside vendor is permitted to charge the village or the owner of the vehicle?
The owner of the vehicle, and as Trustee Wington states, that it would have to be, our administrative tow fee ordinance would have to be triggered first.
Okay.
It's not just for if somebody needs a tow or a parking issue. It has to be one of those offenses that he just outlined.
Okay.
That ordinance has to be triggered first, and then we regulate how much they charge an individual. It really protects the individual from being exploited by some of these companies, but the problem we have is that we haven't changed it in years, and the pattern that we're seeing is our officers are waiting on scene longer. It means they can't get back on the street. So that's why we need to address this ASAP.
Right, yeah, $80 isn't even the market rate. You can't
No.
get a tow for $80 anywhere.
Right.
What's the difference between the standard towing and an emergency snow tow? I'm just curious, because that's only $50. What's the difference?
Well, I'd imagine it depends on the company. They have their own list of fees, and I guess
Okay.
if it was a snow emergency, it would trigger theirs, but I'm not sure what, each company is going to be different, so.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right. Anything else under public safety?
I do have one more thing, Mayor. In coordination with G&O, Peoria Heights Police Department, Code Enforcement, and Public Works, we're working on a two-day cleanup initiative in the village, and that's going to be April 29th and 30th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. The two dumpsters that G&O is going to drop off will be at the Public Works garage. This will be administered by the Peoria Heights Police Department, and the press release will go out tomorrow, but you have to be a resident of Peoria Heights, and we will confirm that when you pull in before you drop off anything that meets the criteria that'll be in the press release tomorrow. So I think this is huge. It's going to give code enforcement a big boost in their spring cleanup. Instead of people just dumping things in the alley, I think this will be the opportunity for them to get up and get their neighborhood clean, give us a head start, and this will really help code enforcement out as well. But the press release will go out tomorrow. We'll post it. We'll get it out in every venue we can, and I expect we have a great turnout. And I also want to thank G&O. I sat down with them a couple of weeks ago, and I will tell you they were very, very accommodating on this initiative. And this is more work for them, obviously, but again, just makes me again appreciate who we have contracts with in the village and the companies, because they do an outstanding job. So.
Was that the 29th and 30th?
Correct.
7 a to 3
3 p.m.
All right. Thank you. Anything? All right. All right, we'd be at appointments. Council, I didn't ask you this before the meeting, but there are 3 appointments. Would you object to us approving all these jointly, or you want a separate motion?
I think you probably should do this.
Okay, all right, thank you. We will do that. So the first is these are all reappointments. And let me just preface this all by saying I really appreciate these 3 individuals and their willingness to serve, 1 on the police pension and 2 on the zoning board. These are big commitments, and they do take some time, so I appreciate everyone. And we'll mention those names when we get to them. The first, Rick Pitzel, he does so much for administration and making sure, works with council, he works with administration, he works with Sarah, and make sure that things go very smoothly. So the first appointment is a reappointment of Mr. Rick Pitzel to the zoning board of, I think that should be appeals. It says approvals, but appeals. So I would ask for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve Rick Pitzel to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that is approved. Next is the reappointment of Mr. Mike Wu to the Zoning Board of Appeals. In his spare time, he spends a whole lot of hours serving the fire department, and then he finds time to do this. So I would ask for a motion to reappoint Mike Wu to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I move to reappoint Mike Wu to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
That passes. And next is the reappointment of Greg Fletcher to the Police Pension Fund. I would ask for a motion to approve that.
I move to reappoint Mr. Greg Fletcher to the Police Pension Fund.
Second, please.
Second.
All right, we have it. Any discussion on that? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. And again, thanks to everyone. I see Mike out there. Thanks to everyone for serving. We'll be at miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous business come before the board?
Mayor, I had one quick item relating to the bike trail. Real briefly, everybody should find a two-page handout that I hopefully got to everyone for the meeting. I met yesterday with representatives of the city of Peoria, the Park District, Illinois American Water, and their engineering firm, Austin Engineering. Park District called the meeting. They had just learned that Illinois American's project was going to result in closure of the trail. We discussed ways to get that out to the public, particularly the Park District, letting trail users know. They were concerned but understood the need for the closure and really wanted the village, from our perspective, to approve a detour plan. This is something we had talked about with Illinois American Water. We brought the idea up. Illinois American kind of shot it down because of the length and location of where the closure is going to be. But they have agreed at the Park District's request to do whatever the village would approve in the way of signage, markings, and so forth. The detour route is pretty obvious. It's going to be closed roughly in between where it crosses Glen and getting up close to Junction. It's interesting where the city of Peoria boundaries are because a lot of the work is in the city of Peoria. But in any event, what they proposed was Glen to Glen Elm, up Glen Elm to Francis, and then Francis has a paved area where it gets you close to the trail, and there's a connection point. On the other end, it would be obviously from, it's right up here on Glen, you would come down Glen, you would go down Prospect, and then you're avoiding all of the construction areas or all of the closure areas. So where it involves the village is they would like to have signage. They're going to purchase the signs and put the signs up. They think that in some locations it'd be appropriate to have cones or barricades, possibly temporary paint. All of these are things that I think, are right in the wheelhouse of the police chief. I just really wanted to make sure everybody understood that this request has been made, and as long as it meets police department's criteria for safety, the village won't incur any expense because Walker Excavating, who's doing the project, will place all of the signs, all of the cones, to the extent there's any temporary paint, all of that. So it's really get the word out kind of thing, and I would just have Austin and Walker Excavating work with Chief Sutton.
So I heard you say that they are requesting our approval of this. Are you requesting that by consensus tonight, or we put this back on the agenda for approval?
This is really an administrative matter. I think we could put it on for approval a lot of times, and this is one of the reasons I enjoy working for the village. We do everything by consensus. I think they're looking to really get underway. They have the pipe, they're ready to go. And this just came up last Thursday or Friday. So I think they would like to see us approve it tonight.
Well, I'll leave it up to a majority of the board, but I think you have a couple of things here. This is a highly traveled artery.
It is.
And do we want to give those folks who travel that artery an opportunity to come before the village board, or do we? I know then the downside of that is if we delay 2 weeks, then the work is going to be done in warmer weather instead of, so I'm interested in hearing other opinions.
You raised the exact points that I raised.
Council, I have a question. I remember these conversations from last fall. Can you just refresh our memory? I know that American Water was here. They said this is going to take how long? Can you?
And we talked about that extensively yesterday. The work can be done in 2 weeks, but weather drives everything. So they're saying up to 6 weeks. When push comes to shove, if the weather cooperates, it's more like 3.
And if we were to have a consensus this evening, when do you think they would start this project?
I get the impression that they're ready to start any day. I can't tell you for sure exactly when they're going to start, but they have the pipe. That was what the holdup was a material acquisition-driven delay. My understanding is they're ready to start as soon as we can approve it.
So then my feeling would be, and I really hope this doesn't take 6 weeks, that the sooner they can get started, then we're prepared for sooner in the summer and enjoying that trail more quickly. I mean, I realize probably the inclement weather happens in spring rather than later, but.
And to the extent it helps, I mean, these are, public streets, so, bikes are allowed, pedestrian traffic on sidewalk, these things are allowed. They just want the public to know that if you normally use the trail for the section that's closed, the way that we are recommending, you can go however, suits you, but the way we're recommending is that you go this route, and more or less to have it marked.
Yes.
That's really the main nature of the request is the markings, the sign, trail closed, detour, we've all seen the orange arrows, detour signs. They can't just put those up without our consent.
Like, completely agree with that.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm on, we're just closing down the trail. We're not shutting down Glen. It's just the trail.
No. It's only the trail, and it's only a small section, but they need to detour it at the points where you can get on and off the trail. And so Glen is one juncture. Francis would be on the north extreme, Prospect on the south extreme. It ends at, behind Sherman's.
Are we notifying the public on this, in the paper or?
No, Park District is going to have it on their website. Illinois American has it on their website. I think we can as well.
So a few concerns. So we're going to mark the roads with like a pedestrian lane, if you will, because my concern.
That is what they're asking us to do where appropriate.
Because my concern is there's no sidewalks along Glen Elm, so all these people are going to be in the street amongst vehicles. So I mean.
That's why they're asking.
Right.
You're raising the point that I couldn't.
And that's a good point, and if it's serious enough, you think, then I think we need to.
It's a busy road, too.
I think we need to bring it back in 2 weeks unless there's other like-minded.
It's very busy and it's very narrow. Cars parking on both sides, and then that trail is busy.
Yes, it is. I run into.
Anytime you can look down at anywhere between 11 to 4, and there's 30, 40, 50 people on that trail. I mean, it's sometimes shoulder to shoulder, it looks like, if you're coming Glen towards
It's even
Ogden.
busy in the morning, early in the morning, when I get the dog out there and stuff.
I mean, closing it was one thing, detouring all those pedestrians onto an active road, it had me a little nervous.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, Chief. One of the things, and I remember us sitting here and we had a nice presentation. We all knew, that this was going to close down the trail. I mean, make no mistake about it. The problem is that timeline is off. This was supposed to be done, and we were closing the trail during the wintertime when no one's going to be doing this. But now, the weather's starting to turn nice, and people are going to be using it. So, I mean, I get it. It's supply chain. It's, I think it's touching everybody. But obviously, the timeline from, and we knew this was going to be an issue too, but the timeline is screwing everything up. I don't know if it would be a cement barrier. That gets into some expense, moving cement barriers over there.
They were talking about either, standard barricades or cones and temporary paint. There's a lot of different ways they can mark it. Those are details that I think are best worked out with the police department, because you can't say barricades the whole way. There obviously are stretches where one would be appropriate and the other wouldn't.
And there's cars on both sides of the road on that, so that may end up losing parking spots to create a lane there.
Well, and you just had this meeting yesterday. I'd almost rather reflect back to the minutes and tell me if I'm remembering this incorrectly, but I thought they assured us, I don't know if they promise is a strong word, but I thought they assured us this work would take place early in the year, not at this time of year. Am I?
No, you're absolutely right.
Well, that really upsets me because they promised us this wouldn't happen.
Right.
And here it is happening. So can they wait until next winter to do this?
We can ask them.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at, because when people come before a public body and they tell us what they're going to do and they don't do it, this is not our problem. I don't see it that way.
And we've had issues with American Water and their projects taking forever.
Yeah, lots of.
Right, so if they can't even keep to their timeline, are they going to keep to the 3 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, and I don't want to jump on, but I'm a little bit upset here. I remember them blocking off Lake for weeks on end with no work being done. I don't want that to happen on this, and I want some assurances. I don't get a vote on this, but I get a voice, and I'm not really happy about this.
The one thing I'm concerned about is this the underlying agreement to allow this to happen. From what I understand, we're already taking advantage of from the Heights perspective.
The original conversation, is that what you're referring to, that it was supposed to be completed by now?
No, what I'm thinking is this was a easement that we provided to American Illinois Water, and they provided something to us for that easement.
Correct.
And I think we're already taking advantage of.
We are.
So I think we have to be.
It's hard to back out now.
Yeah.
That we've received the conveyance of the 10 acres.
I would say
Council, were there any other alternatives discussed as far as, because,
If Glen Elm is a problem,
Yeah.
then it's Glen to Knoxville, north on Knoxville. That's the only other alternative. It really is no. On the other side of the trail, on the north side, there's just no access points.
Right.
Now, they don't know the village as well as you do, so if you can come up with nor do I, so it's not a closed book in terms of if you can conjure up some other ideas on.
Well, I would agree with what's been said here tonight as far as the sheer volume of traffic that's going to increase with the bikes, and that's a very narrow road, and it's already, with people parking on both sides of the street, is already an issue, and then you drop that many cyclers into residential like that, it is going to be an issue, and I don't really know, from a public safety standpoint, a way around it. I really don't. I think, you put, obviously, paint on the concrete isn't going to work, because no one's going to look at that. As far as cones, then you're talking about, you're going to start impeding on some parking issues for the residents over there now. So I see this being, a domino effect. We allow it, it's going to trigger about 2, 3, 4 other issues.
And our original agreement for was the exchange of property, if I remember, did not include detouring through Glen Elm. That's new.
Oh, no, it didn't.
Right, so.
They talked about it. They
that's
didn't
the
think
Park
it was
District.
appropriate
Right.
because of these reasons.
Things have changed.
But it's on the Park District is the reason it's changing. It's not necessarily on the parties to the issue that we are involved in.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, Glen Elm, especially where it curves, that is tight.
It's
I mean,
dangerous.
It's tight to begin with, but when it comes, it curves right
If the
before
only
Glen,
alternative
and-
is Glen to Knoxville, then it's Glen to Knoxville.
or they can put off till they get it done, until later when you're supposed to have this done during the winter time.
I was surprised to learn that the trail was used.
Yeah.
quite a bit here.
Oh,
It's
It
busy.
really is, but that, I don't disagree with that. So,
Mayor?
Can they go from Glen to, through Junction City, across Prospect and cross there at the trail crossing?
how would you?
Am I thinking of that correctly? You go,
No, they have no choice but to come up.
I mean, you'd have to ride the entire length of Glen.
Section-
No, you're right, I'm sorry, I'm not thinking of that properly.
Well,
Excuse me.
if anyone's comfortable okaying this tonight, please express it now, but,
No,
all right. So here's what we're going to do.
Do we want somebody from Illinois American to come, or Austin Engineering, or engineering?
Well, I think we've already done that, but
Oh, no, we have, I mean, to address this issue, or do we just want to say, no, we're not comfortable?
well, here's what I would suggest. Either, I'd like you and Chief Sutton to talk tomorrow, and you've heard all of the concerns.
Right.
I'm open if everyone else is, I'm open if everyone else is to having a special meeting next Tuesday, if you think that's going to delay, or we can do it again in 2 weeks. But there's a lot of things here that need to be answered and worked out as far as I mean, we want to be a good partner. We want to follow through with what we committed to do, and I think we have. But things do happen, things come up, but we need to get this done because it's a major artery through the village. So by the end of the week, if you two can, if necessary, and you really think, they would have to commit. If they're willing to commit to, and we can work this out and get the trail done in 2 weeks, then I would be open to having a meeting next week. If not, then we'll just do it in 2 weeks. But I'd like you to report back to us in the next couple of days. We'll do that through Dustin, I guess. Does that make sense? And if anyone has any other concerns either way, please call or email them to the administrator. All right? Any other miscellaneous?
I have an item, Mayor. As you had mentioned earlier, the village lost an icon and a true patriot in Roger Bergia. I had been thinking about how the village could memorialize his life and service to our community. I can't even begin to quantify the ways in which he impacted the lives of thousands of Heights children. It's hard to see a successful District 325 without Mr. Bergia's dedication and service. I would like to propose that we look into dedicating Glen Avenue as honorary Roger Bergia Way.
You and I briefly discussed this, and I think it's a terrific idea. So I would ask the administrator to come back in 2 weeks and explain his plan for signage and how we would do that. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Anyone else, any other thoughts on that? Okay. Any other miscellaneous? Thank you for bringing that. And all right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Yeah.